Yeah, we'll be good.
All right. Welcome everyone. We're go ahead and get started. It's 3 o'clock here in San Francisco. I know we have users from all over the world here. It's so exciting to see where you're from. Go ahead and post that in the chat if you haven't already. It's lovely to see all the different countries, and we were hearing a little bit about how everyone's weather is in all those different places. We're doing okay today in San Francisco. It's warm and sunny. We've had a little rain, but not too bad. We're excited to have Sue Thotz here as a guest speaker. And we're going to talk about building AI literacy with Common Sense and with Padlet.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, greetings, everyone, wherever you are around the world. We're so happy to have you here, and folks who are watching the recording afterwards. As Zareen said, my name is Sue Thotz, and I am with Common Sense. I will push on to the next slide here. Let's see if we can do that. All right, fantastic. And Zareen, I know you didn't introduce yourself. Please
Yeah,
introduce
I'll go
yourself.
ahead and introduce myself. Yes, thank you, everyone. So thanks so much for joining us. My name is Zareen Levien. I'm a professional learning specialist here at Padlet. My background is I've been an elementary school teacher for many years, a high school teacher, and then I was a technology and project-based learning coach, and then the director of digital learning for San Francisco Unified. Recently, I've joined Padlet and I've been really excited to share with districts all the great things that Padlet's doing. And I'm joined by my colleague Tosh Meyers, who's a customer support manager. And yeah, go ahead if
Awesome.
you want to say anything, Tosh.
Yeah. Thanks for introducing me, Zareen. Yeah, excited to help answer any questions people have. Just put them in the chat or the Q&A. If you have a detailed question, the Q&A is probably the best place for that. But chat or Q&A will work, and I'll be there to help out with any questions you all have. And just as Zareen said, a recording of this session will be posted on our Padlet series page, which is at padlet.link/webinars. We'll put that in the chat as well. But stay tuned for that Padlet. I would even recommend maybe just bookmarking that Padlet so you have easy access to it. And there we'll provide all of our resources and recordings of all the sessions and links to sign up for new sessions. So that will be your one-stop shop for recordings and all the resources we present today. So over to you, Sue, and then we can get started.
Thank you so much. This is my second Padlet Academy webinar, and this is so fun because it's so easy, and it's things that I'm learning just as much as I hope many of you are learning as I'm trying to figure out how to best present some of these lessons. And I come from an organization called Common Sense Education, and we provide free resources related a lot to digital citizenship and the use of technology when it comes to students in school and around the ethics and some of the responsibilities and safety issues around use of media and technology in their lives. So we have the full K-12 set of resources at commonsense.org. And yeah, so I will showcase one of that's a subject that we talk about a lot lately, which is AI literacy. And so today, one of the things that and yeah, thanks, Zareen, put in our slides. So feel free to take a look at some of these slides today. If there's anything that we mentioned today, I'll try to make sure to put them into the slides and add links to that, or we'll put them in the chat so that you have these resources. But we'll talk a little bit about AI literacy and some of the common sense content, just as an intro. And then we'll take you through two lessons in our AI literacy collection. One is called What is AI? And we'll also introduce Padlet's AI drawing tool with that lesson. And then we're going to go through a lesson about chatbots and friendship. And these are often named at middle school, high school, both of these lessons. And I'll turn it over to Zareen after all of that, and she's going to walk us through this magic Padlet AI tool, which I have been using and I've been sharing, and we'll tell some stories and demo that. And then at the end, we'll close out with some questions and provide some resources and hopefully get some feedback from you all. So that's what we're going to do for the next hour. And if you have any questions, by all means, pop them in the chat, put them in the Q&A. We will do our best to answer them and to make this as interactive and as fun as we can. So as I mentioned, Common Sense has resources. They're all free, all of these free resources and curriculum. And thank you so much for popping that lesson in there. They look a little bit like this. They have a full lesson plan, but each of them comes with a set of slides. And so this particular lesson is a great way. I guess I'm going to back up a second and say these lessons were designed for students grades 6 through 12. But I'm finding that I am using a lot of these with teachers. As we are all learning a little bit more about the world of AI and what we can do in the classroom, I find that especially this type of lesson is great for getting everybody oriented and on the same page and with the same vocabulary about what AI is and how are we going to be using it in our lives. So with all of this, the essential question of this particular lesson is, what is artificial intelligence, AI, and what are the potential benefits and drawbacks that come with each of these, with the use of AI in our lives? And so, yeah, the three kind of learning objectives here are defining AI, understanding what makes generative AI something that's unique, and then reflecting on the benefits and drawbacks. So these are all contained within the lesson. We're only going to sample a little bit of this lesson today, so we may not go across all this, but this is what the lesson is about. So we intro a video, and for the purposes of today, this video that we're sharing is, I'm not going to play, the whole video or necessarily include the sound, but you see that the video that we have embedded in here. Are you guys able to see this video yet? Give me a thumbs up. Zareen? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. So this video you'll see is kind of a graphic video. And what we're doing in here is we're trying to really get students to engage and think about, how do you teach a computer to think? How are you training AI? And in this case, we're comparing it to the way in which we train a dog, right? With some positive affirmation. And so we're just trying to get teachers to all understand that the computer is not necessarily thinking the way that we as humans might be thinking, but we are training it to perform a task, and it gets better and better at recognizing information. And so throughout this video, it gives everybody just kind of a baseline understanding of how does artificial intelligence learn, and why is generative AI specifically something that is new to us. So if you get the chance to watch this video, to share it with your other teachers, to share it with families, this is the kind of thing that gives everybody a baseline vocabulary, and gets everybody on the same page, right? Because AI has been around for a long time, right? We've been using it as part of our lives for a while, whether people realize it or not. But it's great because it has. This is specifically talking about generative AI and how it's trained. So that's part of this lesson. And once you and your students have watched this video and really have an understanding of why generative AI is special and some of the fantastic ways in which we use generative AI in our lives, and what are some of the potential, what are some of the scary parts, as it relates to generative AI, you can have a conversation. But the thing that I really wanted to pull out with this was Padlet has this AI drawing tool. And we will try it out in a second. Yeah, Zareen, come on in.
Yeah, thank you for introducing it. It's great to see those lessons and, something you can try with students as you're talking about the issues of AI and how it works and what it does is you can have them try out some AI on Padlet. So I have a link in here that talks a little bit about some of the creative uses of AI. And then we're going to try it out a little bit. But first of all, you can use it for fun things like community builders, like we're going to do right now. You can also use it as kind of some interesting prompts for oral language. And I've been talking with teachers about how it really enriches what students are talking about and the descriptive language they use if you give them some kind of really interesting visual prompts, both for oral language or for writing prompts. It can elicit some really deep description, help students use those juicy words that we always want them to dig into, and you can make it really connected to the content that you're going over in your class. The other fun thing is students could make these images for visuals, for presentations, for a research project they're doing. You could even make personalized graphics for your class. There's a lot of different uses. And one thing to mention about this tool is when you generate these images on Padlet, they're royalty free and they're free for you to use and download. So you can use them in Padlet or you can also use them in other places. So if you could go and click on the next link from the
Sure. So I'm going to go back here, and
yep,
I'm going to. So you guys have these slides too. We'll put them back in if you just joined us and you want these slides again. You can have access to these Padlets too, right? And you don't have to read everything right now, all at once. That's all I'm saying.
Great.
You can, yeah. Come on in.
Yes, thank you. And so this is a Padlet that we've been using. You can see there's a bunch of images here already. So we thought we'd just have a little bit of fun with you all right now, and you can try out the AI drawing. And so what the prompt is for this activity is choose an animal that you like and maybe something you like to do or a location you like or a food you like to eat, and you're going to prompt the AI. And so Sue's going to demonstrate that. She might not know she's going to demonstrate that, but
Okay,
she's click
I
on
am.
the front at the bottom.
Yep.
And she's going to click on the green button. So it's important that you click on the green button and then put in the prompt that you want here. So we need an animal and some food. So do you have any ideas, or do you want me to come up with something?
All right. So my favorite animal today is I'm gonna go with the sea lion today because I just spent a lot of time. And my favorite thing to do is jogging. No, is this possible? Do you think I can get a sea lion to go jogging?
Yeah, let's try
I don't know. We're gonna try it
it.
out. We're gonna see. All right, all right. Taking a jog. All right. Oh, not job. Jog. All right. Now this is ridiculous, right? I mean, I don't know what it's going to come up with. I'm kind of curious to see. I don't know if a sea lion's able to take a jog, but this is the challenge. This is the Padlet AI I can't draw challenge because I'm really curious to find out what's going to happen. I know you probably don't usually get this, but if a rhinoceros can be a ballerina, okay, all right. Hold on. I really like this one right here. Feel I can
Nice.
just imagine this, right? The sea lion is definitely taking a jog.
That's lovely.
All right. There
Good
we
job.
go. Was that satisfying?
That was great. And yeah, so feel free, all you listeners, feel free to add to this page. So go ahead and hit the pink plus in the bottom right, and then try something out. It could be an animal, it could be a favorite thing you like to do. I see a few of you have already added some ideas in here, and you can also scroll through and see some of the really fun, creative things that different people have done. So this could be a really fun thing to do with students. And like I said, you could do it for a fun icebreaker, or you could also do it more connected to content to get them to write things that are more descriptive, or just have a laugh and get engaged in the content you're studying. If you're studying chemistry or numbers or geology, whatever you're studying, you could make some fun images about it to kind of get students excited.
So why do we think that, I mean, obviously this is just fun and an engaging way to have students play around with an AI drawing tool, right? And for them to create and to be imaginative and think about ways. I wonder if you could think about ways to stump the AI or challenge the AI. Like, obviously, like I tried to get a sea lion to do something that it doesn't normally do. Can it do that, right? So after you talk about training and how AI is trained and made, and what is it that they do? I mean, the lesson is specifically about text, but the same ideas and principles also apply to images. And by the way, if you are not in this Padlet, jumping in here with adding your own, we highly encourage it because it's just fun and you can't break it. Like, don't worry about messing anything up or messing anybody up. Just get in there and just see what happens, right? Mess around with it and play around with it. So please, everybody jump in and join us and see what happens. I love your tiger in a lab. Tiger in a lab working on a tiger. So yeah, so I think part of this is giving students a sense of how does the AI do this, right? Asking these questions after you do this lesson. What do you think this was trained on in order to be able to create some of these images, right? So having these conversations about what is generative AI and how is it made can follow up with many fun activities like this, right? The other question I want to ask Zareen is, I don't know if we're going to get to this now, but right now we're using AI to generate new ideas. And one of the questions that I had is sometimes these images that we have, we don't care if they're accurate right now because they're just for fun, right? What the heck is alien dwarfs? All right, that's creepy. That's amazing. These are just creative and they're just for fun. What if I wanted accuracy, right? So I'm doing a report on endangered white rhinoceroses, and I want to have an image in my in my portfolio that I'm creating about white rhinoceroses or something. Is this going to give me an accurate image, and does it matter? Right? I think that's part of what I'm trying to think about with students is, when is it good to use AI drawing, and when is it more appropriate to use, an actual image of a white rhinoceros, right? So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think those are such great questions, and they're really great questions to pose to our students because, you know, we can kind of come up with the answers or think what we have the answer, recommend different things, but really they're going to be grappling with questions, this question and many questions like this. So starting to exercise their critical thinking skills about AI, and that we don't just accept the things that AI gives to us, but that we're really critically evaluating, when is this tool useful for me and when is it not useful for me? Maybe I want something really specific that's realistic that I can get on the internet and I can get it much faster, and maybe it is the real thing that I want it to be. So this is useful for some things, but it's not useful for everything.
Right? So if I have a scientific paper and I want an image of Rosalind Franklin, I'm not going to come in here to the AI drawing tool and say, generate an image of who Rosalind Franklin is for me, right? Like, no, I'm not going to go to the AI tool for that.
Right.
But maybe I want to, find an image of an actual person or of an actual animal or something, and I want to insert that. I'm going to use Google Images, or I'm going to find the Library of Congress images, or I'm going to do something other than that. So I just want to make that distinction, that
Yeah.
super fun, super creative, good time, not for everything. Okay. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that's great. And then one more thing, if you click on the pink plus button now, I added a few more
Yeah.
attachment types just now. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
now we have these other options. So if you want to search the web or upload an image, you can do that here. So you can kind of access both sides of it right within the Padlet. And you could even compare and contrast. You could have kids generate some AI images and then maybe generate some realistic images. Maybe they see if they can tell the difference between them when you put them all together. So you could do some fun things generating images within Padlet by searching for it here as well.
Right. So I tried to get the AI to draw me a Plymouth Barred Rock chicken the other day, and it was not exactly an accurate image. And so I kind of compared the actual Google image of a Plymouth Barred Rock chicken. I mean, you can see these feathers are very specific, right? AI is not going to do a very good job drawing this if it even knows what it is, right? So when you get into something, very specific, then maybe the Google Images does a better job in that kind of thing, right? So just wanted to make that clarification that yeah, it's fun, awesome, and you have to use it appropriately. All right. Yes. Hillary asked the question, are all images generated royalty free and they can be used anywhere? So that's for you guys. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, thanks for repeating that question. Just to be clear, yes, you can download these images and you can use them anywhere they're royalty free.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to jump in there and ask. All right. Should we try something else? Yeah. Feel free to continue and make more interesting. I love this vegetarian lasagna and the tiger. That's pretty fantastic. Yeah. Oh, hold on. The Shih Tzu is not taking a catwalk. I thought it was like walking a cat. That's very different. All right. Catwalk is very different. I wanted like a full-on model runway. Yes, a marketing animal. Oh my goodness. All right, these are great. We could spend the whole hour doing this, right?
We could.
Let's get back. Let's run back. But yeah, the whole point is that we're using this to reinforce some of the ideas around AI imagery and asking questions about when is it appropriate to use, right? Because that's what we do. Common sense is finding out all this stuff, right? So the next lesson we're going to demo is about AI chatbots and friendship. The world of AI has brought our students many, many opportunities to interact with artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, that maybe they don't even realize sometimes that they are being influenced by. So, for example, all of the feed that is generated on your Instagram account, that is all AI choosing and selecting what is going into your feed, right? And our students may not think much about that. But when your students have Snapchat and they now have a chat bot embedded into Snapchat, and that chat bot is something that your students are having regular conversations with. And so what I wanted to do was talk about how AI chatbots can affect our idea of friendship. And what does that mean to have a relationship with a chatbot? Maybe us as adults, I know there's a lot of adults in this room. There's probably not that many students or young people in this room, but thinking about our interactions with chatbots and feeling close and connected with them is something that I think our students are starting to experience. So, what are the qualities of a good friend? Explore how AI chatbots can provide help. They can be helpful to us, and providing some benefits. These chatbots can bring us benefits, but also there's plenty of unique benefits of human friendship. So I'm just going to go through a couple of, activities from this lesson, not the whole lesson, but I'm going to bring up a couple, but that's what those lesson objectives all come from this lesson. So I ask you all, as my students, you're all my 6th grade students today in this session, I do this in person and I say, what are the qualities of a good friend, right? Think about if you were a 6th grader, what are the qualities of a good friend? So of course, Zareen has made this great Padlet. I'm gonna try it out and I'm gonna see if I can pull this one up, and I am going to ask you all. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break this down. So I am going to, how do I make this? Hold on. I need to copy the section name. No, I don't want to do that. How do I do this, Zareen?
So first, so you could add a post here if you want, or you can vote on the ones that you kind of listed out as possibilities. So I see some people already starting to vote by clicking on the heart there. And then, yeah, it's going to also sort automatically. So the top voted ones will reorganize and come up to the top there. So right now, trustworthy is the highest voted one, but they're all kind of shifting as people vote. But do you want to add some more, Sue? Or if people want to add some more, I saw somebody added kind and helpful. You can click on the little plus next to what are the qualities of good friend and add a post right there if you have another friendship quality you wanted to add.
So I wanted to add the quality available when I'm in need. That is the one. That's perfect. That's wonderful. I'm going to add is a critical friend. So, provides me with a little bit of the criticism that I need whenever I'm being a jerk or whenever I'm in the wrong. This is not a 6th grade answer. This is an adult answer. I appreciate people who are straightforward with me and can call me out and can help me be a better person. I guess that is what I'm looking for in a friend. Oh, loyal, compatible, caring. These are all very fantastic. I love all of these. Yep. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to vote yes, trustworthy is definitely. And I really like available, supports me and help me grow. Yep, exactly. Yep. These are all fantastic. So you guys can imagine doing this with your 6th graders, coming up with a list of qualities that a good friend would have. All right. So you guys are welcome to continue over here on this Padlet. I am going to go back over here to my slideshow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you all that every friendship that we have is unique and special. And the ways in which we interact and share it varies. I have different kinds of friends all over the place. And thanks to all these phones that we have, we can connect with them. Even when I have lots of friends who, I call them friends. Maybe other people wouldn't call them friends, but friends who I maybe not have met in real person, but they are my Twitter friends or my, friends that I have across the country who I share a common interest with, right? And so, friends are fantastic and we have all different kinds. So I'm going to share a dilemma with you. And this is our dilemma. Logan just moved to a new town and is feeling lonely. Logan is having a hard time making friends and finding people who share her interests. Logan discovers a new chatbot, AI chatbot feature on her social media and begins to chat, sharing personal thoughts and feelings with the AI chatbot. Logan discusses her experience moving to a new town, going to a new school, and the struggles of making new friends. Over time, Logan's interactions with the AI chatbot become part of her daily routine. And she starts to feel really connected to the AI chatbot because it always replies back with kindness and no judgment and is always available day or night. So here is my question, right? Should Logan consider the AI chatbot to be a friend? Why or why not, right? So as we think about this, I want you to think about this in your minds for a minute. And as we think about this, I want you to look at all of these qualities here of a friend that we considered. Is that chatbot trustworthy? Does it support and help her grow? Is it a good listener? Is it available, kind and caring, right? And so on. Does that AI chatbot share these qualities? And then once you kind of think about that, I want you to think about, so we're going to skip this part here. So I guess I'm gonna delete this section. I'm gonna skip this section about how is the AI chatbot helping Logan. So I'm gonna go right to here. Should Logan consider the AI chatbot to be a friend? So if you guys want to vote, get your votes in here. I see 9 people have voted already. But using these criteria, should Logan consider the AI chatbot to be a friend? Give us your vote. Yes, no, maybe so.
I'm so curious how the vote spread is going to turn out. This is one of our new attachment types in Padlet called a poll. So as you're adding a post, there are many different attachment types, and this is one you can add called a poll. You can do a yes or no question like this, or you can have different multiple choice answers. And as Sue is the moderator, she can choose when she's going to show the results to the rest of us, and then we'll all be able to see kind of what the percentages are for the answers there.
Yeah, right. Isn't that fun? So I love that you have these hidden, because then your students will not influence each other. And so if I were to make this as a teacher, I just make it as a regular post, but I choose the poll. So I don't know if we can try that out in a minute, but I want to see how to do it because I want to make a poll
Yes.
post one of these days. Yes. Okay. But first I will give you 3 more seconds to get your vote in. 3, 2, 1, show results. Oh, interesting. So here's what I want is I know, sorry, Helen. Yeah, so some folks have already started down here, but I want to know if you put yes, tell us about your answer. What influenced you to say yes? Was it, I hope that perhaps the chatbot shared some of these features up here, right? If you said no, I'm curious to say why you said no. And if you said maybe, give us your dependencies, right? So yeah, I'd love to hear why or why not. Or feel free also if you're more comfortable putting it in the chat, you're welcome to put it in the chat too. So yeah. So we're
And
starting out with not sure. Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, as you're typing in some responses there, maybe we could show off one more little feature of Padlet here. Sue, if you click on the 3 dots of that poll, the purple poll, the 3 dots in the
Yep.
right-hand corner, and then click on that 3 dots, and then start slideshow from this post, about 4 down right there.
Yep.
And then we can see these results it's not too much bigger, but it's a little bit bigger. Show results again. So we can see it a little bit bigger here in the slideshow. And then so we can turn any Padlet into a slideshow like this. So now if you were to page ahead on the bottom there, we can go see some responses.
Yep.
This is the question, and then
Or
we
not.
page through some of the student, or in this case, adult reactions to what is considered a friend or not.
You're all my students today. Yeah, not sure the chatbot could be considered a friend, but perhaps a different word, such as a support system. All right, excellent, but maybe not termed different. A chatbot is not sentient, not real. Chatbots are real. They are real. They're not human, but they do exist. It's not Santa Claus. Chatbots are real, yes, but not sentient, not a human being. Yes, I understand your point. It doesn't really care. The chatbot can't care about you as a human. It is just a bot. No, because it imitates and does not have its own thoughts, right? It is, so we're going back to that lesson. If you talk to that about your students about AI training, how does a chatbot get trained, right? And what is it responding to? How does it read the information and the text that's being sent to it, and how does it generate a response? Is that a real response? Does it have its own thoughts, right? We can have that conversation. A chatbot is not trustworthy. It cannot feel emotions, right? A person whom whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection. Are you pulling a friend definition out, right? So by that definition of friend, is that chatbot a friend? Probably. There is no mutual affection because the chatbot cannot feel, right? So yeah, so I think chatbot is not human. So I'm going to make sure. I think that I get most of them. A child or a senior in the future will have a robot to provide support. Yeah. Interesting. Generative AI chatbots and AI models are inherently not trustworthy, right? Yeah, they still have a significant hallucination effect. Yep. So yes, and I cannot read. I will butcher this French, but I hope I hope that it is expressing that something that other folks can enjoy here as well. So so that is where we are. And so here's what I think is interesting. I ask a lot of adults this question, and almost invariably all adults say, not a friend, not a friend. Like we as adults very much have this absolutely not a friend. When I ask students this, it varies a lot more, right? Their idea of what friendship is. So it's very interesting. And we get into a lot of good discussions. So the point is not who's right and is this a friend or not. The point is having these discussions and what do relationships mean, right? And so, I could put up, you of course can change these slides. These slides are all editable. They're just Google slides. But, we kind of close out by saying that, like, yes, of course, the chatbot seems dependable. The age range is 6th through 12th grade is what this is designed for. And kind and supportive, but no, the chatbot does not have empathy, isn't authentic, and can't physically be there. If that's something that's important. And so that's where we pull in this discussion. So I think the last word in this lesson is about, while AI chatbots can help us in meaningful and important ways, a lot of folks that I've talked to have said, here is how chatbots have helped me. They act as almost like a mirror, right? Asking me questions or reflecting or giving me information when I need it, right? Chatbots can be very important, and they could be very helpful in a timely and important way. They don't judge, right? They're not judging you, so you can feel very secure in asking the chatbot these questions. So a lot of folks have pointed out the ways in which chatbots can really help us out as humans, but it's important to be cautious about relying on them too much, as they cannot replace human friendship. What makes friendships unique is that they aren't one-sided. How important is it to us as humans to do something for others and to feel like we are giving to our friends, right? And when you have that's the most important part, I think, right there, is you can't do anything for a chatbot. You can't you can't provide that same kind of comfort back. Like, that is where I think the crux of it lies. And they certainly aren't, they aren't perfect. Humans aren't perfect. So being able to disagree with someone and make mistakes, these are important aspects to being a friend and a human. And so I hope that all of your students have humans in their lives that love them and that accept them. And I really hope that your students learn how to value those humans, whether it be their family or their friends. And so this is where, we can't get everything we want, everything we need as humans from chatbots. Even if we get good information or get good reflection, it's always important to have humans in our lives. So yes, yes. That's the end of this particular
Such,
lesson.
such great
Um,
ideas, Sue. I just wanted to piggyback on there. I think I was thinking about how we were talking about with the AI drawing, how we're thinking about like when it's useful, when it's not. And I think the conversation around AI chatbots is interesting for in that same way. Like when is it helpful? Maybe it is helpful for students who are, they need someone to talk to. There isn't someone around right then. It's not always the best option. Like all these points that you all made, it can't talk back, it can't have a real relationship. But maybe what use does it have? And having our students start to think about that and start to be really critical about when it's useful, when is it not really the best option. We don't want to overuse these things, but we want to kind of find their really productive use and use it in those situations.
I think so. So all of these lessons that we have from Common Sense that are related to AI literacy, some of them really talk about, like, how is AI developed and AI bias, and how does bias happen, and then understanding our relationship as humans to generative AI and what that all means, and how does that affect our ideas of who we are in the world. So when I talk about AI literacy, it's within the context of our relationship to technology. And so we've been doing that part for years, right? Like, what does it mean to have, relationships, to communicate through text, right? Cyberbullying, privacy, like, what is our role in, contributing to the world of technology? Like, we talk about this for years. Now with generative AI, misinformation and the potential for all these hallucinogens, all of this stuff is now much more salient, and it's much more complex. So we are building upon a history of digital citizenship training and digital literacy to now include AI literacy as well. So I'm going to pop some of our resources into the chat when I pass it over to you to talk about. So I guess part of it is, like, at Common Sense, I feel like we are not like, yes, AI, come in. We love you all. Please come and, like, join our world. And we're also not, oh my gosh, AI, please stay away. This is terrible. It's going to ruin everything. We're trying to figure out, how do we enhance our lives? How do we do things more efficiently? How do we have better relationships? How do we use these tools in a way that teach really well, but also how do we be cautious? How do we make sure that we are maintaining the privacy of our students, right? So I feel like we're trying to balance this, and that's the kind of content, yeah, that we are trying to produce now. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Zareen, and I'm going to stop sharing on my side, and I'm going to pop some lessons into the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sue. And this is why we love working with you, because I think, we at the same time, oops, I got on the wrong screen here. At Padlet as well, we want to make these tools available to people, but we really care a lot about how they're used and want people to have the tools to be able to think about when to use it effectively, and for students and teachers to be able to use all of these tools in ways that make the most sense. So it's really great to have your perspective, Sue, and to share kind of all the wonderful lessons that you have that we can use with students, and even just to kind of think and learn about it ourselves as adults, because it's new for a lot of us too. All right, so I am gonna, I saw there's a question in the chat. I'm gonna go a little bit through Magic Padlet, and then maybe we can talk a little bit more about AI in general. So we have a new tool in Padlet called Magic Padlet, and it's a way that we can use generative AI to actually generate a whole Padlet. So we showed you one tool already that was generating AI generated images, and this is actually gonna generate a whole Padlet. So it uses ChatGPT-4, so that's the most current ChatGPT. And we also pair that with a web search to find additional information, text, images, links, and videos. So it's a little bit more powerful than what you just get back from ChatGPT. And you can make Padlets with AI on any topic you want. And you can tell it the grade level, you can tell it the subject you're teaching, and it can display it in many different formats. So lesson plans, classroom activities, and a number of other things. And I'll show you what some of that looks like. But first, I want to talk a little bit about kind of the back end, how it works, and some of its limitations. So it's enabled for teacher accounts, not for student accounts at this time. It doesn't share any of your user info with ChatGPT. So that's something I really love about it. As a classroom teacher, I was, starting to experiment with AI and trying to think about what's safe, and I don't want to put too much of my information in a way that's public. And so using ChatGPT within Padlet allows you to do that privately. So we're not sending any user information over to ChatGPT with your prompt. And ChatGPT itself does not train on your prompt, so it doesn't store any of your information and train on it. Some of its limitations, and these are limitations of the technology itself, of ChatGPT, it doesn't know about events after April 2023. So that's something to always keep in mind when we're prompting it, that you should be prompting about things further in the past. And people spoke a little bit about this earlier, so the hallucinizing, if I say that right, in rare cases, it can provide incorrect info. So that goes with using any generative AI tool. It should always be checked for validity, using your expertise, and that can be a great conversation to have with students as well, to have them analyze what they get back or what they're looking at and seeing if it's correct, and how do you know if it's correct, and all of those great questions. It's going to bring back a Padlet, but not about 20 posts at most. So you can generate more Padlets if you want more information than that. And because we keep it very private, it doesn't know anything about your account, the other Padlets you've made, your preferences, because we want to keep your information private. So whatever you put in the prompt, that's all that it knows, and that's what it's going to bring back. Okay, so now given all that background, I wanted to make sure you kind of knew what we were doing before we jump in. Now I'm excited to model it for you. So I'm going to go to Padlet. And I should say also that we have free accounts on Padlet and we have paid accounts. Free accounts are just limited in the number of Padlets you can make, but they have access to all of these features. So the AI drawing tool we mentioned, the polls, everything on the Padlet, and these AI generating tools as well. To access that, you go to Make a Padlet. And then up at the top here is where you would make a blank board. And right here, this is fairly new, so I'm not sure if everyone's seen it yet. We have Create with AI, and then it has all of these different formats that I was talking about. My two favorite formats that I think really come up with some really helpful, great results are the classroom activities list and the reading list. So I'm gonna, maybe I'll have time for an example of each. So I'm gonna, since we're talking all about kind of AI and digital citizenship, I'll start with some younger grades, and I'll say artificial intelligence and digital citizenship. So I'm going to ask it to give me back a list of books, a list of picture books about computer science and artificial intelligence, with a list of comprehension questions and discussion questions about each book. So I'm going to hit create here. We have this fun graphic that you can kind of play with while you're waiting. It takes about a minute for it to generate. But I think it's such a great time saver. And I'm sure, if you've explored some other AI tools, you've seen that as well, that things like coming up with comprehension questions for books. I know that can save me a lot of time when I'm kind of looking at books for students. I used to spend a lot of time doing that manually and reading the books and generating the questions, but that's a really nice thing that AI can do. It It can also generate related links or vocabulary. You can even tell it a certain book that you're reading and say, can you give me questions for these chapters at a certain grade level? So it can do a lot of nice things with reading lists, and it'll also just generate a list of books on a particular topic. So we'll see in a moment what it brings back with, I did an elementary school, so grades 2, 3, and 4. So that's about ages 7, 8, 9, books about computer science and digital citizenship. This is always a moment of reveal. I'm always like, it doesn't take exactly the same amount of time every time. So it's always exciting to see how long it takes. It should be here. I'm guessing in about 5 more seconds. So it's going to bring it back in a Padlet. And so a couple other things to say about this is when the Padlet comes back, you can edit the Padlet however you want. So you can change the background, you can change the layout, you can drag things around and change the permissions. It's taking a little longer than I thought today. Oh, thank goodness, here it is. Okay, so here are some picture books that it came up with. And so we have Hello Ruby, that's one that I've read before. And there's a few that I do not know about. And I asked it to come up with some questions as well. So you can see it came up with some comprehension questions down here. The most magnificent thing, that's another one that I like. Looks like it has some a few different characters in here that we'll try to clean up later. But you can see that it came up with a nice thing that I can edit right away. And as I mentioned, you can change the wallpaper here. So I can change the format of it. If I want to put in different sections, I'm going to save that. If I want to put it into like a different format, maybe I want to have it as a wall format or as a timeline. I can adjust all of these things, but it can kind of get me started with some interesting information. And I'll just put this in the chat so you can see it as well. I'm just going to change my permissions here. This is where I change my permissions on what's viewable in a Padlet. And I'm just going to pop this into the chat. And then I'll do one more for you as well. So the reading list I think is really fun. I also think the activity list is really fun and comes up with really good results that I've found. So I'm going to go to classroom activities. And with all of these things, it's good to be as specific as possible. So I'm going to do digital citizenship this time. And this time I'll do for middle school kids. So that's about ages 12, 13, and 14. Those are the ages of my kids right now. So I'm always kind of thinking about them. And I'm going to say, actually, maybe this is a computer science class, and maybe I'm doing digital citizenship lessons. And this time I'll ask it for some activities and YouTube videos and discussion questions about AI chatbots and friendship, since we were just discussing that. We'll see what it comes up with for that. So as that one is running, I'm going to show you a couple of different examples that I already generated, so it can move us through a little bit faster. And I'll stick this in the chat as well. So here are some examples. And for all of these, I also shared the prompt. So let me click into this one. This is another reading list. So here's the AI prompt that I use. And I wanted to share these examples because it's really important to be very specific. So here I said 5 poems from current diverse authors about cultural differences and 5 popular music or rap lyrics about cultural differences. So I've got some great poems here, and then some interesting rap songs with interesting lyrics. So I got to kind of generate something that I felt like would have taken me a lot longer if I was just doing a Google search or trying to think of it myself. So that's another reading list. Here's another classroom activity. This one, I'll go this one. Actually, this one is art activities. So I prompted it for art tutorials, 10 activities to practice figure drawing and perspective drawing with pop culture topics and video tutorials. So I got a few kind of video game drawing prompts and superhero prompts and things like that. So I can really prompt it with things that are most relevant to what I know about my students already. And so that's another thing I really love about it. If I know my students are really into something right now, I can generate some interesting prompts or videos or books related to that topic. And this is what I just generated a minute ago. We were just waiting for that came back. It gave me the videos and the questions about AI chatbots and friendships. And I'm going to come up here and change the sharing permissions. And then I'll share this one in the chat so you can see it all as well. And in order to share it, I can just copy the link right from the URL bar and then share it once I set my permissions. So some interesting things here, right? And I might not like all of these. I might think, well, actually, this one isn't great for my students. And then I can just come over here and I can delete that post. I can move things around if I think, oh, I really love this one. Let me put this one at the top. So it can be a great starting point and sometimes get me 80 or 90% of the way there in terms of generating content that's really relevant to what we're studying, but it should definitely always have that check to make sure that the information is correct and the information is what you want to be sharing with students before it's shared. The other nice thing about putting it on a Padlet is that students can interact with it as well if you want them to. So you could, so I came up with all these posts. Maybe I'm going to come to settings and turn on comments. And now people can comment right here and see what they thought about those videos, or maybe respond to some of these questions that came up here. All right, and I see a question here about can it generate content in other languages? Yes, it can generate content in other languages, so you should definitely experiment with that. And you just tell the AI what language you want it to bring back the Padlet information in, and then it'll bring it back in that language also. So yeah, I showed you a few examples. I'll show you just a couple more that I've already generated, and you have this Padlet as well, so feel free to click around in it. I showed you kind of the classroom activities and reading lists I think are really powerful and usually bring back a really useful information. This one is fun too. I did a timeline of ancient Egypt, and just really quickly, I could bring back kind of the great important events in that time if we're studying that. And I prompted it really specifically. I said include 10 key events, including mummies, pyramids, hieroglyphics, etc. So you can tell it things you want it to include or how many posts to bring back, and that can be really useful as well. These ones are kind of fun too. You can create an assessment poll. So this one, I'll go over this one. I said this 8th grade pre-algebra, create 20 standardized test practice questions. And so it used the poll functionality and gave me some questions. So it can very quickly generate on any topic some questions. And of course, I can come in here and edit it just so I can with any Padlet. Oh, good question about the commenting. Right now, we just have the capability to turn on commenting for the whole board. So you can't turn it on for just some specific posts. You can do some other things though, maybe if there's time, I'll show this at the end. You can split your Padlet into sections and only share a section at a time with people. So I'll show you what that looks like if we have time after I go over a few more of these examples. So I showed you assessments. This is fun too. You can generate your own maps. This is a map of historical events. I prompted it with South Africa and apartheid during some particular years. You can zoom in and see some different locations. I can also prompt it with the right reading level that I want. So when I can put in the grade level, and I can also say basic, intermediate, or advanced language, and it will adjust it for my language. And then lastly, this is one that I like to, that you can generate a whole lesson plan. So this is a 2nd grade lesson plan about math with learning goals, instructional activities, assessments. And then this one, this is more along the reading list activities, but I did kind of a combination. I said, I want for this particular book, for Wonder by R.J. Palacios, I want vocabulary words for these 3 chapters and comprehension questions. So that was a really nice feature. So you could think about a read aloud book that you're doing with students and it could generate that content for you. Again, you can always edit it and make sure it's what you want or customize it or even have students do that part. All right, so a lot of information there. I'll spend a quick minute right now answering that question about could you have people only comment on a certain part? So let me go into an example that I have really quickly here, if I can find it quickly. I think it was here. Oof. It's not quite where I thought it was. I'm going to show you an example. Here it is. Ocean ecosystem. So this is a Padlet that I made with many different sections. And say that I only wanted to share one piece of it. And maybe I want to split people into groups and give them different links, or maybe I just want people to start with one. I can share it by section. So I'm going to go to the share arrow here up at the top and come to breakout links. And now I'm just going to get this first section, coral reefs, copy that one. And I'm going to open a new window with that URL. And now I have just the content in that coral reef section. So people can only, if I shared this URL with my students, they could only comment or interact with this piece, but it would still show up on my main board with everything. So that's one way you might section it out a little bit if you want to do that. So we have a lot of capabilities like that, but we love those suggestions. I think commenting in particular parts might be something we add in the future. All right, Tosh, I'm just going to ask if you saw any other questions that I could answer or that we could answer right now. coming up in the chat?
Yeah, just a few questions about where to find the resources, and that will be at padlet.link/webinar. So go there to access all of the resources. I also see, yeah, we have some really fun upcoming webinars coming up, some more AI themed, as well as if we have any French speakers here, we have a French themed new features session coming up here soon, as well as a Padlet for Beginner session, and then welcome to Padlet for Schools for Teachers specific session, and we're really excited about that one. Which will be themed mostly for teachers within Padlet for Schools accounts. So if you're interested in a Padlet for Schools account, that's kind of where you can have all these features, plus be able to create unlimited Padlets. And there's actually a lot more awesome school features that we didn't even show today, like kind of account management, permissions for certain accounts, stuff like that. So that webinar at the end of the month is going to be showing that. It looks like Ruth has a good question in the chat here about breakout links and what they could be used for. And yeah, the Ocean Ecosystem Padlet is a great example of that, if you want to show that, Zareen.
Yeah. Thank you I know I went through that kind of fast because we will review this feature more, but I'll go over it one more time right now. So there's a lot of different ways you could use this. It just means that you can make this Padlet into its own, you can kind of like chop it up into its own little Padlets without doing very much work. So if I only wanted people to comment on one section, like if I only want people to comment on this coral reef section or any topic you have, I could just give them the link for one section of my Padlet. I can still keep this whole Padlet the way it is. So it could be used if I just want to limit people's involvement, or if I have multiple groups and I want them to go to different parts of my Padlet and not all interact together in the same place, because it might get a bit jumbled or they might influence each other. And so in order to do that, I'm going to come to the share arrow up here, and then I'm going to come to breakout links. And this is going to list out the sections that I have in my Padlet, and I can copy that link. And then I'm going to open a new window to use that link to show, and this is the link I would share with students if I wanted them, either the students in that group or if I just want them to be in that section, I would just give them this link. But I would still have the link to my main Padlet. I could still share, project my screen and share all the information on there. Or maybe at the end of the class, we could come back all together and see everything. Here it is. So that's why we would use that. But as Tosh was saying, we'll share a lot more information about that when we go over new features, and actually we have some recordings down here. What's new on Padlet is a really great video that my colleague Yasmin did. So I recommend you check that out if you're interested to know kind of some of the really new exciting features that we have in addition to what we went over today. So I just wanted to go over this. Tosh started talking about this. These are the questions that we often get. So I just wanted to highlight this again, that yes, you can use Padlet for free. You can use all the things that we showed you today. We only limit you in the number of total Padlets that you have. So if you, but you can also archive your Padlets or delete them. So for example, right here, if I already used my 3 Padlets, I could come here to the 3 dots. Whoops, let me go to go up here to more of my Padlets. Go to one that I made here. I can come over here and I can archive it, or I can even move it to the trash if I want to get my number back down again. But we often find that Padlet is most powerful when you can make more Padlets. So we encourage you to check out these subscriptions if maybe your school has funding. For individual subscriptions, there's gold and platinum, and then the best subscriptions are the classroom and school, because then you can use it together with your colleagues. So please reach out to us if you have questions about that. We can share a lot more information about those. We already shared our Padlet webinars. URL, we'll share that again. You can also always email us at hello@Padlet. We'll get back to you very quickly with any questions you have. And we have a YouTube channel where all these videos are as well. We already talked a little bit about this. I feel like I've been talking nonstop soon. I wanted to see if you had any comments about Magic Padlet or anything else that was coming to mind as I was talking.
I will say that I have demoed Magic Padlet a couple of times in the last couple of conferences, live conferences, like with real people. And yeah, people are just thrilled. They are straight up thrilled, and a couple of them that I have made with folks. One person really wanted a whole Taylor Swift themed literacy session for his 3rd through 5th graders, and you should see the stuff that came out of this thing. Like it created a whole lesson plan for him, and he was so thrilled. And then another one was looking for content related to a history lesson that she was doing, and it was just, I mean, it straight up was magic. And so that was all I wanted to add, was the excitement that people have just by being able to get a foothold. It's not like it was perfect. It's not like it worked for everything, but just to be able to have some resources generated for them was really indeed very helpful for a lot of folks. And in a format that they understand. Like you could get a lesson back in any of these AI tools, like asking for a lesson plan, but like if you are used to Padlet, it puts it into the context of something you are already used to. And I guess that is what was really helpful. You didn't have to you didn't have to use new tools. You use the tool that you enjoy.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so great to hear about teachers using it and what they're finding most useful. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
By the way, I did want to say I added one more slide right before those the magic ones. I added one more slide in there that I just put down. Oh, maybe you probably have to refresh. It's in
sorry.
everybody's. It's okay. I added it just to add some of the resources that we mentioned today. I just threw them in there for reference in case anybody needed them. So there are the lessons are the middle link, the all resources from Common Sense are the bottom link. And then I threw in a webinar in there that was specifically about prompt engineering for digital citizens and some of the guidelines you might need as you are dabbling in the world of AI centered on privacy, copyright, and so on. So yes, I just thought they'd be helpful. All right.
Super helpful. Thank you so much. And then, we didn't get to dive into kind of the history of AI in a little bit. I do want to encourage people. We have this video, AI Fundamentals with AI EDU and Padlet that we did last week that gets into that a little bit more. So sorry we didn't get to cover that today, but I encourage you to go check that out, and especially the beginning of that video, the first 20 minutes or so, and that'll give you a lot more information and background about that. Before we sign off, we really, really value your feedback. So I just put this, I'll put it in one more time, the feedback form. It really helps us make these sessions the most useful. And if you have any feedback about Magic Padlet itself too, please stick that in the form as well. And you can also suggest future webinars that you'd like. I'm already seeing we have such an international audience. We have one session coming up in French, and I'm thinking we should probably have some sessions coming up in Spanish and some other languages if we can, to reach all of our great international audience that we have out there. But thank you so much for coming, and thanks to Sue for spending the time with us and sharing the great lessons that Common Sense Education has for students.
Right. Thanks all.
All right, well, I think we are going to stop there. I think we got to most of the questions. If you didn't get your question answered, please email us at hello@padlet.com, and we'd be happy to respond to you there. And we hope to see you at one of the next webinars. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.